I think what pulls it all together is that no one person did any of that.
So he's sitting around on a June Thursday thinking about himself and his glory days. And to your point, Smug, I'm starting to warm up to Michelle Obama's POV. I mean, like, what does he do?
Shocking admission about the state of his marriage to Michelle. Go a little bit low, Rob, if you could. So everybody's wondering, like, you weren't there at Jimmy Carter funeral, you weren't there at Trump, and Michelle I'm talking about, and then you start a podcast with your brother. Barack Obama makes shocking 170 Michelle Obama. I was in deep deficit with my wife. He told Tepper, conversation Thursday. So I've been trying to dig myself out of that hole by doing occasionally fun things.
Some truths simmer quietly for years, until the right moment rips the lid off. What began as a harmless June afternoon reflection has spiraled into whispers that even the most loyal allies can't ignore. A startling confession about a fractured marriage, conspicuous absences from key events, and a sudden media venture alongside his brother. Barack Obama finds himself at the center of a storm no Netflix documentary could fully capture. From Michelle's guarded expressions to the unspoken tension around Trump's name, every detail feels like a breadcrumb leading to something bigger. And now, the political air is thick with speculation, betrayal, and the kind of revelations that make history books rewrite themselves.
How about the women who actually were the victim of repression and violence in Israel? No words for them. Former President Obama, nothing to say about the children being murdered in Israel. So far, I guess he couldn't find time to actually use his little thumbs and tweet something.
Obama's second term, he did none. Obama's first term, I think he did one. And Bush's first and second term, he did none on day one. This guy's come out the gates. One moment he's talking to World Economic Forum. Another second you're looking at him, he's talking to California, chewing out, Bass and Mayor Bass and talking to the folks there. Next minute he's in Vegas talking about no tax on tips. Next minute you're seeing him talking to military folks. Next minute you're seeing him on the media.
In a world drowning in headlines, some silences scream louder than words. As images of violence and repression in Israel haunt the global conscience, one figure's muted response sparks more questions than answers. Barack Obama, a man once hailed for his eloquence, stands accused of saying nothing while tragedy unfolds. Critics trace his record back through 2 presidential terms, counting the times he acted and the many times he didn't. His post-presidency seems like a whirlwind of appearances, lecturing at the World Economic Forum, trading words with California's leaders, dropping sound bites in Las Vegas, rallying military crowds, and soaking up media spotlight. But in the chaos of his public hustle, one question lingers in the air. What isn't he saying, and why?
I mean, he's crushing it on the tariffs, foreign policy, just got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. If not Trump, then who? Honestly. Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize after 9 months in office. He had done nothing. He gave a nice speech about Muslims and they gave it to him.
The stage is set for a clash of legacies. On one side, a leader riding high on tariff victories and foreign policy moves, strong enough to earn a Nobel Peace Prize nomination. On the other, the ghost of a past accolade, Barack Obama's Nobel win after just 9 months in office. A time when critics claim he had accomplished nothing beyond a well-crafted speech about Muslims. The comparison is impossible to ignore. One prize tied to tangible actions, the other to lofty words. And as the conversation turns sharp, the underlying question cuts even deeper. In the battle between achievement and image, who truly earns history's applause?
At Jimmy Carter's funeral certainly raised some eyebrows, but yesterday's announcement that she won't be attending Trump's inauguration confirms something is definitely going on between her and Barack. She said whispers about cracks in their relationship have been circulating in D.C. for over a year now, but this feels like the first public proof of a marriage on the rocks. The question now isn't if, but when. If I had to guess, they will wait until after the inauguration to announce it. Timing, is everything. And yet the story doesn't end there. For months, I've heard Jennifer Aniston's name tied to Barack.
Whispers in Washington have a way of morphing into headlines, and this one's about to erupt. From the solemn gathering at Jimmy Carter's funeral to the conspicuous choice of skipping Trump's inauguration. Every move points toward turbulence between Michelle and Barack Obama. For over a year, quiet murmurs about a fractured marriage have floated through the D.C. air. But now, it feels like the first undeniable crack in the public facade. The question is no longer if an announcement will come, but when. Some predict the bombshell will drop only after the pomp and ceremony are over. A calculated strike in the theater of politics. Yet, an unexpected twist looms. The sudden puzzling appearance of Jennifer Aniston's name in the swirl of speculation. And in a town where timing is everything, the next move could rewrite not just a marriage story, but a legacy.
Of course, I wouldn't look at Obama one way or another. I would simply say, I get it. It's tough. Good, God bless. And don't forget, they were young presidents. They weren't old presidents. Yes. So it's a difference when you're a young president. When you're a young president getting out and you're a star power, like Netflix showing everywhere he goes and da-da-da-da-da, it's a different kind of a life. So
fame has a strange way of shaping power, and the Obamas know it better than most. Rising to the presidency at a young age, they carried the glow of modern royalty, stepping down not into obscurity, but into a world ready to amplify their every move. Barack Obama's post-White House life has been less about fading away and more about stepping into a global spotlight. With Netflix deals, speaking tours, and cameras following him everywhere, it's a different kind of legacy, one built not just on policy, but on celebrity. Yet behind the polished appearances and carefully crafted image, one wonders, does star power protect a reputation or eventually expose the truths it hides?
More fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas' relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X, but he was just seen at an LA, the basketball team, the Clippers, thank you, game without her. And then on Tuesday, he was spotted eating out at a fancy dinner in Sherman Oaks with both daughters, Malia and Sasha, but again, no Michelle.
The whispers are no longer background noise, they're turning into a steady drumbeat. Valentine's Day should have been a picture of unity, yet the Obamas' matching, carefully staged posts on X feel more like a performance than a love story. Just days later, Barack is spotted courtside at a Los Angeles Clippers game, alone. Then a high-profile dinner in Sherman Oaks with daughters Malia and Sasha, again without Michelle in sight. Each public appearance without her adds weight to the speculation of a marriage under strain. Is it coincidence or the slow, deliberate unveiling of a private rift? In the world of power couples, absence doesn't just speak, it roars.
Tom, what is the process of Nobel Prize? If he's able to do that, who nominates? Because most of the Nobel winners are on the left.
Nobel Prizes, you can go look this up, are given through an arcane nomination process, and they go into a back room and they decide who they're going to give it to. And the Nobel Peace Prize is basically a political football. You look around the world at people that have really caused peace, and you have Obama made a couple speeches as soon as he was inaugurated in 2009. Oh my goodness, we give it to for fostering an environment of peace. He didn't do anything.
Behind the gleaming medal and the global applause lies a process shrouded in secrecy. The Nobel Peace Prize, a supposed beacon of honor, is, in reality, a political chess piece moved behind closed doors. Nominees are whispered into existence through a maze of hidden channels, debated in back rooms, where ideology often outweighs achievement. And in 2009, Barack Obama became the poster child for controversy. Just months into his presidency, with little more than a few idealistic speeches to his name, he was crowned a peacemaker. To his critics, it wasn't recognition of deeds, but a reward for narrative, proof that in the Nobel game, perception can trump reality.
How much is enough money, according to the Obamas? 70 million? Because public reports estimate that is their net worth, parlayed on the back of Barack Obama's 14 years of holding political office. He did not spend 50 years in government service. He did a stint in the Illinois State Senate. He did a couple years in the U.S. Senate before he ran for office and won. All right, that he did 2 terms as president. And off of that, he's made himself over $100 million. Almost $100 million, probably over, to be honest. We don't know all of the earnings.
In the world of politics, wealth is often the unspoken legacy, and few embody that truth like the Obamas. Public reports peg their fortune at a staggering $70 million, amassed from just 14 years in elected office. Barack's political resume is brief by Washington standards. A stint in the Illinois State Senate, a short run in the U.S. Senate, and 2 terms in the White House. Yet from that relatively short career, their empire has ballooned toward the $100 million mark, perhaps even beyond if hidden earnings are considered. For critics, it's the ultimate question. How does a public servant turn a limited time in politics into a fortune rivaling America's corporate elite? The answer, it seems, lies in the lucrative afterlife of power.
He reportedly owned 4, count them 4, luxury properties. A home in Martha's Vineyard, estimated to be worth some $20 million. In addition to properties in Washington, D.C., reportedly bought for $8.1 million, a beachfront home in Hawaii, reportedly bought for $8.7 million, and a home bought in Chicago for $1.65 million. Is that more than you need, Mr. Obama?
For a man once celebrated as a champion of the people, Barack Obama's real estate portfolio tells a story of elite privilege. 4 luxury properties, each dripping with exclusivity, form the foundation of his personal empire. There's the $20 million estate on Martha's Vineyard, the $8.1 million Washington, D.C. mansion, a pristine $8.7 million beachfront retreat in Hawaii, and a $1.65 million home in Chicago. Together, they paint a picture not of humble public service, but of a lifestyle reserved for the ultra-wealthy. And the question lingers in the air, sharper with each property revealed. How much is enough for a man who built his brand on serving the common citizen?
Comes out, a new movie comes out. What's the name of that movie? Civil War. Leave the world behind. Our power grid in America hasn't been updated. 75% of it hasn't been updated in 50 years. And you're kind of talking about that. Then you're pitting whites against blacks. There's a line in the movie that says, Dad, you know if something goes down, we can't trust these white people. I know that's something both you and Mom agree on. Why do you put that line in the movie, Barack? And you were helping with the script. Why would you put that in the movie? Why would you put that in the movie? Barack, weren't you the same guy that gave a talk at the DNC in 2004 about bringing people together? What happened to that guy?
Once hailed as the voice of unity, Barack Obama now finds himself at the center of a cinematic storm. The release of Leave the World Behind, a film he reportedly helped shape, is drawing criticism, not just for its doomsday themes about America's crumbling power grid, but for a line that ignites racial tension. Dad, if something goes down, we can't trust these white people. I know that's something both you and Mom agree on. For many, the words land like a betrayal, clashing violently with the hopeful 2004 DNC speech that launched him as a unifier. What changed in the years between that moment of promise and this polarizing script? Perhaps the bigger question is whether the shift reflects the evolution of a man or the revelation of who he was all along.
To seize this moment, we have to use technology to open up our democracy. It's no coincidence that one of the most secretive administrations in our history has favored special interests and pursued policies that could not stand up to the sunlight. As president, I'm going to change that. We will put government data online in universally accessible formats. I'll let citizens track federal grants, contracts, earmarks, and lobbying contracts.
In 2008, Barack Obama promised a revolution in transparency, a government where technology would open the doors of democracy and expose the shadowy corridors of power. He vowed to end secrecy, challenge special interests, and shine sunlight on every deal, grant, and contract. Citizens, he said, would track earmarks and lobbying agreements as easily as checking the weather. But more than a decade later, critics ask, did that vision fade into the same fog of politics he once condemned? Or was it always destined to be a speech, not a standard?
You just said with the right initiative, and unfortunately, that initiative hasn't been forthcoming. And as a consequence, what's happening is, here's what's happening to ordinary families, because I know one of those boxes was, how does this affect you? The average family has seen their premiums double in the last 9 years. Costs for families are going up 3 times faster than wages. So if you're happy with your health care right now, and many people are happy with their health care right now, the problem is 10 years from now, you're not going to be happy because it's going to cost twice as much or 3 times as much as it.
Obama warns that without bold action, the silent crisis in American healthcare will only deepen. He points to premiums that have doubled in less than a decade and costs for families rising 3 times faster than their wages. While many Americans are satisfied with their current coverage, he cautions that satisfaction is fleeting. Within 10 years, those same plans may become unaffordable, costing 2 to 3 times more. The question looms, is this a prediction meant to spark reform, or a warning that history will judge us for ignoring?